More 90 Day Fiance stars are exposed every day, it seems like, and this time it is Rose, who was the apple of Big Ed's eye for about a total of 2 seconds, until he went to the Philippines and then did what Big Ed does in his roly-poly Humpty Dumpty fashion, which is just destroy everything that is in front of him because he is not worthy of actually having a decent relationship. Now, you really can only feel so sorry for Rose, considering the fact that, to begin with, it was probably more of a plan. She wanted to get out of, the poverty life and get to a better place. And I mean, come on, who else would be with Big Ed? I mean, in all reality, just look at this guy. I mean, this guy, and it's not just, you can be fine. He can have a sense of humor. He can make people laugh. But the problem with Big Ed is that he walks around like his ish don't stink. He walks around like he's God's gift to the world and like everyone should just drop down and praise him. And yet he's the first one to be kind of a, for lack of a better term, I'm just not going to jump in and just start calling a bunch of names, but a dick. Sorry, had to say it. He is a dick, and he definitely showed it time and time again when he just completely, whatever woman he was with, decided he's gonna not just criticize, some criticism's fine, there's nothing wrong with that, but just go out of his way to put down and just beat down and all of these things. With her, one of the first things he did was talk about the hygiene thing. Now, don't get me wrong, if you kiss someone and their breath kind of stank, you're going to have that conversation at some point. But this fool gave basically a care package of hygiene products. That's the kind of person we were dealing with Big Ed. So, clearly, it was not a good decision on her part to pick him to try to bring her to the United States. But apparently now she has fallen on some hard times, and she did what all these people do when they come to, well, which is really what a lot of them want anyway, is to model or go to the magnificent opportunity that is the Fans of Only, which is nothing more than a degenerate site where they can sell themselves, which is, and try to pretend it's because they've come into their sensuality and all these things, which will read something of similar that she says, but in reality it's just paying a bunch of degenerate guys to, ask you to do things that you probably really don't want to do, but you're trying to make a buck. So there's that. She decided to drop this on one of her social medias, it appears, where she said something new has been blooming behind the scenes. Oh, and then a rose. Little rose there. Gotta use the emojis. And this was on her Instagram, apparently. I'm finally ready to share a side of me that's never been made to TV or to IG. No scripts, no filters, just really after dark Rose. But definitely with scripts and filters, because if they say no scripts or filters, that's just a lie. They're going to use whatever script or filter they can. They're not going to be real. I mean, most people don't turn on the camera and they're just real, just says what's on their mind or whatever. Now, I personally don't like scripts. When I talk about this kind of stuff, I'm just saying what I feel. But a lot of these people are going to be very produced, very try to put out there what they think people want to hear and not really what they want to say. And let's be honest, the Fans That Is Only site is not a site that you're going on to get a nice podcast following or a nice video following. What you're doing is getting a bunch of weird dudes to come in there who watch too much corn in their life, and they're trying to be on a personal level with you, and you're selling that, when in reality you're just a person. You're not even a person anymore. That is, you're just someone behind the screen that can fulfill some fantasies. It's something that should feel degrading, something that should just devalue anyone that does it, but apparently it becomes the goal. And the sad part in her case is that she decides to go on about some of the reasons. Now, in her post, she continues on where she says, if you're curious enough to explore, drop the word Rose VIP in the comments and wait for a private surprise to slide into your inbox. All the innuendos, of course, trying to, get the perverts behind the scenes like, oh my gosh. Let's keep this between us for now. Okay. Public message on your Instagram. Let's keep it between us, Rose. Sure. Can't wait to see who's brave enough to peek first. I'm going to venture to say she's probably going to be disappointed with, she might get some interest just because she was on TV, but she's probably not going to be super happy with the turnout, if I'm taking a wild guess. But the problem with this is not so much that It's like, they all do this. You expect them to want to be models. You kind of expect that to be, whether it's a model, whether it's, an influencer, whatever it is. But this is what she goes on to say. She reportedly only decided to join the Fans That Is Only after dealing with financial trouble in 2024 and is donating a portion of her first month's earnings to a local women's shelter in Manila. I don't buy it. If she's dealing with the kind of issues she was having, or if financial issues and someone stole her money, or she basically said something about, a family member took advantage of her or something like that, then yeah, she's not donating to a women's shelter. She may say she is, try to get a few more donations, but she's not actually doing that. She's just trying to get whatever is recovered, if that's even true. This may be nothing more than a ploy. We don't know. The reason why I only feel so bad for her is, even if that's 100% true, the reality of this situation is, with the whole Ed thing, it started out with her being in a situation where she's trying to just get out of the Philippines. She didn't want to be with Ed. Who would? Ed is a piece of garbage. No one wants to really be with Ed, which is also why I didn't feel bad for him when she was trying to take advantage. But that being said, all things come back to bite, and apparently it did in a big way. I don't really believe in karma, so I don't think it's that. But when you do things and you kind of don't really go about any kind of virtuous way, eventually it's probably not going to be that great. So here we are. She goes on to say, "I'm grown so much," but it wasn't just that. It wasn't just the money. She says, "I've grown so much since my days on television," all few of them where everyone just hated Big Ed. Everyone was rooting for her. I mean, let's be honest. Everyone was really rooting for her because Ed just made himself look so bad. It was just everyone's like, oh my gosh. I mean, rah-rah Team Rose, I guess. But then she wants to say, "I've grown so much since my days on television. I'm finally comfortable owning my sensuality, my body, and my voice. And the best way to do that is selling it for dollars on a website where no one cares about your sensuality or your voice. Maybe your body, I don't know, but neither of the other two." So this is kind of a fake empowerment kind of thing, when all it boils down to is just sadness that this is what it's turned to, if it's true. Again, I don't really believe that the whole thing is true to begin with. I think it's partially probably just a ploy to get money. I mean, I'm sure it's a money scheme no matter what, and I'm sure she's, in the Philippines, I know she wasn't wealthy or anything like that, so it's a big factor of it's to make money. But whether it was a whole because I lost all my money to a scam, the vape shop she started shut down because of new law. I don't know why she thought to start a vape shop in the Philippines. I know that a previous president was cracking down on drugs, although he's been arrested, but they don't take kindly to certain things there. So I question the idea of starting a vape shop there when that's kind of been on the forefront of, should it be bad, should it not be bad kind of thing. So interesting choice, but according to her, it was shut down. So we don't really know what the financial situation is. What we do know is, at this point, maybe she is trying to make money just, to try to recoup, or she's trying to use either a somewhat real situation or maybe a completely fake situation to sell something just to make money. It's not a good look no matter which way you cut it, and the reality is the method she is using is nothing more than poison. It's poison to men, it's poison to boys, it's not good, it doesn't help anyone, and you talking about your sensuality or your body does nothing, because all what you're doing is hurts people. It's poison to the brain. That's all corn is, and that's what it is on over there at the Fans That Is Only website. That's all that is. So they try to say, oh, it's just a nice boudoir photo shoot. Yeah, except you're saying you're going to take personal requests and talk personally with your subscribers. So there's that. So I don't buy for a second you're not going to be doing some crazy stuff. So look, again, this is another situation where I start out kind of feeling bad, and then I'm like, but I don't really feel bad for you, because all you're doing is hurting yourself and others in this. Maybe not physically, but you're just advancing this thing that is just poison to the brains of people, many, many, many people around the world. Now, everyone's got to make their own decision, so obviously, personal accountability. Look, I've said many times I'm a recovering addict, so I am all about personal accountability. So those fools got to make their own decision who are tuning in and paying for that crap. They got to make it. They got to make the decision for themselves, but you are not helping by doing it too, and I feel bad for you. Because really, why are you degrading yourself by putting yourself on that website? Why? That's what you've come to? I mean, because Ed, that piece of garbage, got you in the limelight, and now you've had a little bit of fame, and now you're trying to remain relevant. Look, you don't need it. You don't need it. You don't need him. You don't need any of that. All you're doing is degrading yourself. So just I hope she changes course. I really do. I hope she turns around and says, you know what? Never mind. It wasn't that great of an idea. I don't think that's going to happen. But just for one more time, I mean, I really do blame Ed more than anything because he's the one that caused most of these problems. Because I mean, just look at this guy. He's just a piece of garbage. This is a piece of garbage. This is like Hurricane Ed. He comes in, the real life version of Humpty Dumpty, just destroying people's lives. He doesn't really deserve to be in a relationship. So really, in all of it, I blame him for almost everything because he's just a garbage human. That's all he is. So we'll see how it plays out. I hope that she changes course, changes her mind, because this is not the route. That's not the way to go. It's not going to help you. It's not going to make you feel better. And any few dollars you get is going to put a bunch of images on the internet forever. Because if you think because you're behind a paywall that it's not going to get out and put your images out there, then you are sadly mistaken. And that is one reason why I feel bad for you. So hopefully she changes her mind, but we will see. It just goes to show that the 90-Day Fiance universe continues to be degenerate at face value, but it brings great entertainment. Doesn't mean I want people to be doing crazy things or just absolutely ruining their life. So we'll see what happens with that. Thank you for joining me. Make sure you comment, like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Make sure you press all for those notifications too, and I will see y'all next time.